recognizes gentlelady from Iowa, Dr. Miller-Meeks, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm glad the Energy and Commerce is focusing today's hearing on several bills related to preserving choice in America for vehicles and fuel, including my bill, the Fuels Parity Act. The Fuels Parity Act, which I introduced with Representatives Hunt, Bice, Budinsky, and Sorensen, is a bipartisan bill with geographically diverse co-sponsorship ranging from Texas oil and gas members to Midwestern biofuels members. As the Biden administration continues its war on liquid fuels, biofuels and gasoline included, this bill makes it abundantly clear that establishing a partnership between biofuels and oil is more important than ever. The Fuels Parity Act would allow ethanol from cornstarch to qualify as an advanced biofuel and require EPA to use DOE's Argonne GREET model to determine the carbon content of biofuels under the Renewable Fuel Standard, rather than an outdated predictive model. Allowing corn to qualify as an advanced biofuel allows internal combustion engine vehicles to compete with EVs by incentivizing lower emissions from ethanol production, making the fuel that powers on-road vehicles cleaner. Here's a list of biomass types that are allowed to be advanced biofuels: Brazilian sugarcane ethanol, the fibrous outer shell of a kernel of corn, known as corn kernel fiber, sorghum, soybeans, wheat, and barley. All of these crops can be advanced biofuels so long as they meet 50% requirement for carbon reductions. Literally, the only feedstock that cannot qualify is cornstarch. Even other parts of the corn kernel can qualify. As long as cornstarch ethanol can achieve a 50% greenhouse gas emission reduction, it should be afforded the same opportunity to be an advanced biofuel like every other feedstock. And Ranking Member Tonko, I would be open to a discussion prior to subcommittee markup with you and others about making DOE's Argonne GREET model applicable to all fuels. Mr. Chairman, I ask unanimous consent to insert a letter into the record which expresses support for the Fuels Parity Act. The letter also includes support for year-round E15 and outlines concerns about the EPA's final RVOs from 2023 to 2025, which limit the growth of low-carbon fuels. Mr. Goffman, the Refuelable Fuel Standard RFS program is integral to reducing carbon emissions and adding value to agricultural commodities. While opportunities may exist to improve the program, any statutory reform should be careful and thoughtful. The Fuels Parity Act would remove the prohibition on cornstarch ethanol as an advanced biofuel. I realize this is not a perfect piece of legislation, and I'm committed to working with all stakeholders moving forward. Can you speak to the EPA's ability to consider new Clean Air Act proposals, including pilot programs, when setting post-22 volumes? Does the EPA have authority to consider criteria not explicitly stated and contained in Section 211.0?